Good evening, everybody. Good evening. It's December the 17th. This is Cutler. I'm Cutler, and we're here on the Let's Talk to Cutler platform. And broadcast is so good to be able to share this space and this time with you. We're here every Tuesday and every Thursday, making those 800 seconds that I have with you, making them significant, making every minute meaningful, and every moment uh, uh, making it worth our while. So it's good to see you all. I hope you're having a fantastic day. You all know what we're doing. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I'm here, and we're talking about quotes from this book, Billboards to Better, as we are riding together along the highway of life. We're looking at these 366 quotes, these sources of motivation and inspiration. I really do hope that you're motivated. I hope that you're inspired. Inspired. I just made that word up. I hope that you're motivated and I hope that you are inspired. You all do me a favor as you're coming into the room. Go ahead and do a thumbs up on the conversation. It says to YouTube that you like the conversation, except for that word inspired. It says to YouTube that you like the conversation that we're having, and it encourages my heart. So I'm so thankful because whatever space you allow me to share, whether it's your living room, your dining room, your car, your front porch, your back porch, your car, wherever you are, I'm thankful, I'm honored, and I'm humbled to be able to share that space. I'm so thankful for this time of year, of course. I'm so thankful for all of you all who join me every Tuesday and every Thursday, and you all do the playbacks and you send comments and you send emails. I want to make sure that you do have my email. So as we're coming up on the holiday season, inspired as we're coming up on the holiday season, I want you all to send me some shout outs and let me know if you have been inspired. And my email address, and I'll give it to you and I'll make sure that I pin it there in the comments. But it's talk2cutler at gmail.com. That's talk and the number two, cutler at gmail.com. Again, I'm going to do the shout outs for those who are our LTTC VIPs for the evening. Once you come on in the chat room and I see you, I'm going to shout you all out. I'm so thankful again for these 1800 seconds. I've enjoyed them and I've enjoyed sharing them with you all. Of course, our LTTC VIPs for the evening are Zara, Annie, and Jackie. So it's good to see all of you. And of course, a special shout out to two of my favorite people in the whole wide world. That is SJ and Sloan. Those are little proteges of mine. So a special shout out to them. It's good to see all of you. Again, we're here for only 1800 seconds. I'm not going to worry your patience, as my grandmother would say, but I'm going to read these quotes every Thursday. You know that we read the quotes for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then the quote for Saturday is yours to do whatever you want, whether it's a part of your meditation or a conversation starter. It's all up to you. I am so glad. So what I want you all to do in the chat room with me this evening, I want to give a special welcome to Rika. This is her first time. This is Rika's first time being with us. So you all make sure you say something special, say something kind, and I'm going to make sure I tell Auntie that you came this way. So again, we are chit-chatting from this book, Billboards to Better. It's my seventh book. You can get it from YouTube. You can get it from Amazon.com, or you can go over to my website and get it. But Amazon will get it to you immediately. Again, thank you all for sharing this space. I'm not going to worry your patience, but I want to inspire you as we are in the middle of this pandemic and we feel like we're trapped and we're here. It's just interesting that we can share this space. So thank you all. Thank you for allowing me to share this space. And again, go ahead and do a thumbs up. And if this is your first time, subscribe, click on that bell so that you can be notified whenever I'm on live and whenever I've uploaded new content. I want to go on to our quote for December the 16th. And we'll talk about 16th, 17th, and 18th. All right, December the 16th says, when God asks a question, it's not for his benefit, but for yours. He already knows the answer. Now, the interesting is, you all do me a favor. Those of you in the chat room, we have two first timers who this is their first time on the full conversation. So do me a favor, do some shout outs and say hello to Rika and say hello to Liz N. This is both of their first time. So I've got to tell Auntie that you all came over my way. Thank you all so much for being with me. We are reading and we're chit-chatting from this book. All right, let me reread this quote. It says, when God asks a question, It's not for his benefit, but for yours. He already knows the answer. That's interesting. And I know it sounds like it's going to be a deeply religious conversation, a deeply religious topic. It's not, because I want to take a look at some of the lighter sides of this, the lighter side of this quote. Have you ever encountered people who, when you ask a question, they seem to have a hidden agenda or hidden motives? They might seem to have an ulterior motive. They want to seem to hide the ball, or they want to be manipulative because they ask one question and you think, uh-oh, is this the real question? Do they have something else in the back of their mind? Well, you all, it's not quite like that with God. When he asks a question, he is not trying to perplex you. I tend to tell people he's really trying to perfect you. It means that he's trying to make something work together for your good. He's trying to make you better after the question than you were before the question. I'm going to make all that make sense. All right. When I wrote this particular quote, I thought about some of the questions that my mom used to ask when I was growing up. And she would ask those questions of me and of my brothers. And let me just pause and first say that, not every question deserves an answer. Not every question deserves an answer, but I am a true proponent of the fact that every question deserves a response. It doesn't deserve an answer, but it certainly deserves a response. So whenever my mother would start a question with, what did I tell you about? Uh-oh, I knew that mama was not looking for an answer, but she was definitely looking for a response. For example, she would say to me and my brothers, what did I tell you about leaving dishes in that sink? She didn't want to hear an answer, but she wanted to see a response. Whenever mom would ask us, what did I tell you about talking so much? She didn't want an answer, but she wanted a response. It means that she wanted us to get up and wash the dishes immediately. She wanted us to immediately stop talking. Other questions mom would ask us when we were growing up, questions like, who do you think you're talking to? Well, we knew that was a trick question because we certainly couldn't say her and we couldn't say nobody. Because with my mother, if you said her, well, you were in more trouble. If you said nobody, she was going to say, oh, you call me nobody? So there was always a trick question. So she didn't want an answer, but she wanted a response. And it is like that with so many of the questions that we get. A question my mother would say, well, why are those clothes still on the clothesline? I grew up with a clothesline, you all. She did not want an answer. She wanted a response, and the response was to get that clothes basket and get those clothespin containers and go and get that stuff off the line. It is the same way in life. For us, there are some questions that are designed not for us to answer, but for us to respond and to draw our attention to what's taking place. Every time God has ever asked a question, it's been to draw our attention, you all, to his ability to provide and to protect and to preserve. God is not like an attorney who's questioning someone on cross-examination. It's not the rapid fire question to trick you up at all. His questions are not intended to confuse us or to beguile us, but his questions are designed to remind us that he loves us. And you all, our obligation isn't to always try and come up with an answer, but our obligation is to come up with a response, an appropriate response, a response that is meaningful. So whenever our attention is called to something in nature, we are to look at the fact that God provides for us the same way he provides for nature. And our response should be, thank you. Whenever our attention is called to the fact that he makes ways and that he protects us, our response should simply be, oh, well, there's nobody like him. I chuckle a lot of times when I think about the questions that I see in the Bible. You all are going to recognize some of these, whether you're Bible scholars or not. You've heard some of this stuff. For example, in the beginning, when God asked Adam, after they ate the forbidden fruit, and God said, Adam, where are you? And it wasn't because he didn't know where Adam was. Quite often, it is a matter of pointing out pointing our attention to something that he wants us to know. It wasn't because he didn't know where Adam was. Of course, he knew where Adam was. He made Adam, he made the world, so he knew where he was. But he wanted to bring Adam's attention to the fact that nothing is hidden from him. And it reminds me today, you all, that we are never beyond the reach of a wonderful God. All right. And when he asked Moses, you all heard the story about Moses and the burning bush. And God said to Moses, Moses, what is that in your hand? I love this story. I want you to get the lesson, even if you don't recognize the story. God's having a conversation with Moses. Moses, standing on the burning bush. And he said, well, Moses, what is that in your hand? To me, that it reminds us that we have been given everything that we need to succeed. Everything that we need to succeed has already been given to us. And quite often, you all, success is just within our arm's reach. It really is. Quite often, the provisions of the day are right in front of our faces. And sometimes we are so busy with life until we don't see that the provisions are right there in front of us. And then another question. There was one time when Moses was feeling really helpless and he was feeling despondent and he was feeling hopeless and he cried out to the Lord, and the Lord said, why are you crying out to me? Whether we know this story or not, it just sounds crazy that God would say, Moses, why are you crying out to me? But it was not, it was not because he didn't love Moses. It wasn't because he didn't care for Moses, but it was because he wanted Moses to stop crying and take action. Moses, stop crying. Just stop crying and start moving forward. A lot of times for us, it is the same way. And I tell you all what I adopted from that story. There may be times that I cry, but I promise you this. I might cry, but I'm going to keep moving. I might cry, but I'm not going to get paralyzed in a place where I'm crying. Something may hurt me, something may offend me, something may bring me to tears, but what it will not do is paralyze me and cause me to stay and to sit and die in that moment. So no matter what tears you may shed your tears, but take action. Shed your tears, but move forward. Shed your tears, but keep on going. You know the story we hear where God took this prophet Ezekiel to this place that is called the Valley of Dry Bones. And he said to the prophet, hey, Ezekiel, son of man, can these bones live? It was not because God wanted Ezekiel to do some sort of DNA study or DNA examination of the bones. That's not what it was. But he was simply pointing out his ability to bring life to a dead situation. And I just want to remind us this evening, as we're sharing this time and sharing this space, I want to remind each of us that no matter how dark a moment may seem in your life, no matter how dead or despondent and discouraging a situation may seem in your life, there's an opportunity, there's always an opportunity for life to resurrect back into that dead moment. There really, really is. I just happen to live with that kind of hope. I live with that kind of expectation, and I live with that kind of anticipation of what can happen. All right. I got to get to the next quote, you all, because you know what I say. We only have 1,800 seconds, and I got to make every one of them significant. Again, if you're joining us, please make sure that you subscribe, that you ring that you check the bell so that you can be made aware of whenever I'm live and whenever I'm sharing new content. And again, if you haven't done so, please go ahead and do a thumbs up on the conversation. Got to get to the quote for December the 17th. All right, that is today's date. The quote for December the 17th says this. This is pretty funny. I hope you all see the humor in what we're getting ready to talk about. It says, shun disobedience. It makes you look naked and stupid. Shun disobedience. Stay away from disobedience. Why? Because it makes you look naked and stupid. And I guess this is kind of a follow-up to the question that God asked Adam, where are you? And Adam said, well, hey, I hid because I was naked. So this seems to sort of be a follow-up. But again, it's not the question that was important. It was the response that I found most interesting. Because when he said, Adam, where are you? And Adam responded, we hid. I hid because we were naked. Newsflash, Adam, you've always been naked. You've always been naked. So you hid because you're naked. That's why when I wrote this, I said, disobedience makes you look naked and dumb. It makes you look naked So it's not that he hid because he was naked. That didn't make sense. But he hid because he had disobeyed. He hid because he had done something wrong. And now he's trying to come up with an answer that diverts from the fact that he has done something wrong, that he has been disobedient. So now not only is he naked, but he's naked and he looks dumb. I laugh and I chuckle at that each time I come across it. So I offered this quote. Cutler, why would you offer this quote then? I offered this quote as a reminder to just do the right thing. It's more than a movie title. Just do the right thing. Do the right thing and you won't have to look dumb. I'm sure that this doesn't apply to any of you all, anybody who's here watching the Let's Talk the Cutler platform. It doesn't apply to you, but have you ever heard people, you all, let me know in the chat room. Have you ever heard, yes, naked and dumb, have you ever heard people tell one lie and then they have to tell another lie to cover up the first one that they told? And before you knew it, not only were they telling lies, but they were living lies. Some people just do wrong for wrong's sake. Some people just lie for the sake of lying. And I think some people might even lie because they find it exciting. What's exciting about lying? Do you know that I would rather live a boring life of truth than to live an exciting life of deception and lies and nefarious behavior? Give me the boring life, because at least I don't have to lie to cover up my life. You see, to the extent that I can, and I'm just sharing this space with you all, to the extent that I can, I just believe in doing the right thing. And it's not that I'm perfect, it's not that I'm infallible, but I am concerned about my impact. A lot of times, you see, we're not concerned about our impact, but I'm concerned about my impact. I'm not always most concerned about my character, because I believe that when I die, perhaps my character will die as well. But the impact of everything that I've ever said, the impact of everything that I've ever done, even the impact of how I live, that will continue to live on. Absolutely, I'll take boring any day too, because the impact of everything that I say and do, it will live after I have died. My impact, your impact, our impact will live even after we have died. And I want to make sure that the ripple effect that I cause today will lead to somebody's growth and development tomorrow. That's important to me. The ripple effect that I cause in the universe, that I create in the world today, I want it to lead to somebody's growth and development tomorrow. I'm concerned more about my impact. We make impact. And I love the fact that I can seek forgiveness, you all. I love the fact that I can seek forgiveness, but I'll cherish the moments, and I really do cherish those moments when I don't have to use my forgiveness chips. I love not having to use my forgiveness chips. Yes, I do. I don't have to worry about offering sacrifices to get back in the good graces of anybody. I like just doing the right thing. I like just doing the right thing. I hope that you all are enjoying this conversation. Again, we're reading from the quotes from Billboards to Better, 366 daily sources of motivation and inspiration along the highway of life. I'm so glad to see you all here tonight. So glad to share this space with you all. What I'm going to do is go on to our quote for tomorrow. We'll talk about it because I have something special that I want to share with you all. Let's talk about tomorrow's quote. Tomorrow's quote, because I want you all to be inspired. I really, really do. At the beginning of the conversation, I used the word motivated and inspirated. So I think I might just have to coin a phrase, motivated and inspirated during these 1800 seconds. The quote for December the 18th, it says this: internal conflict, just because you carry it, that doesn't mean you have to give birth to it. It's better to resolve it than it is to release it. When it comes to internal conflict, it's better to resolve it than it is to release it. I am a huge proponent of resolving conflict. I give a lot of energy towards resolving conflict. I understand that conflict happens. I know it's a natural part of life. And so I'm not concerned just because conflict arises. But I will say this: conflict will exist but it doesn't have to dwell. Conflict can exist, but it doesn't have to dwell. It doesn't have to linger. And as it pertains to conflict, I am of the opinion, you all, that just because you carry it, that does not mean that you have to give birth to it. Because guess what? We carry internal conflict all the time. I don't know how many of you, like I am, I have been conflicted in my mind and in my heart and in my spirit about so many things. But one of the things that I try not to do is give birth to conflict. Yes, I carry it, but I strive not to give birth to it. We come into contact a whole lot of times with things that we hear. And guess what, you all? We hear a lot of things. We come into contact with a lot of things. We harbor thoughts and we harbor feelings and ideas. But many times we are held accountable not for harboring them, not for holding them, but how we handle them. How we handle them. And you might, let me give you all an example. You might have weapons in your home to protect you, to protect your family. You might have weapons in your home, but they never inflict damage until they are handled. So we hold things, we harbor things, but we don't inflict damage until we handle them. We don't inflict damage until we handle or mishandle them. It is the same with a lot of things that we encounter in life, you all. And that's what this quote is all about. It's about making sure that we are good stewards over the things that we are charged with handling. We think of stewardship in terms of wonderful things, fine things, money and houses and cars and all of those things and wealth, the things that we are charged with being a good steward over. We think of all of that. But you all, guess what? We have got to be good stewards over the negativity that we also encounter. Because we've got to handle that. You see, it is just as important. It's just as important for me to be a good steward over my money as it is to be a good steward over the trust and the confidence that someone places in me. It is just as important to be a good steward. Just as I strive to be a good steward over how I run my household, I also strive to be a good steward over the heartache and the headache and the pain and the sorrow that people sometimes share with me. Because see, we're charged with carrying things a lot of times, but we don't have to release them. We don't have to give birth to them. You are a good steward when you know how to handle that stuff. Because if you really want to brag about being a good steward, and I'm a big proponent again about being a good steward, but if you want to brag about being a good steward, let somebody tell you all of their lies, all of their secrets, all of their deception, and all of their mess. And then let them make you angry. Let them make you angry enough to spill the beans, angry enough to sing like a canary. And no, I'm not talking about when it comes to criminal activity. And I'm not talking about that, murder or mayhem. I'm not into that, but just their secrets and their stuff and their mess. Somebody let them share that with you, and then let them make you angry. Angry enough when you have when you have the opportunity to spill the beans. And so I'm talking about the stuff that they trusted you with before the argument. The stuff that they trusted you with before the breakup, before the fallout of friends. And I'm telling you all this, I don't always trust people who are so quick to badmouth people that they once called friends. I grew up in the country, grew up in the South, because we would always hear dogs that would carry a bone would bring a bone. And I look at how people treat the folks that they once called friends, and I think, my goodness, if we have a fallout, what are you going to say about me? What are you going to do with the stuff that I trusted you with? I don't think, you all, that it's always necessary or proper to give birth to all of the negativity that we carry. And yes, sometimes we do carry negativity. We're charged with carrying the weight that other people sometimes put on us. We really are. And no, you all, I'm not crying. I just happen to really have dry eye syndrome just really going on tonight. But people, you all, they sometimes have moments when they are so weighted down. And they may be in that space when they share with you. They share about the things that weigh them down. And they have those moments when they just want to break loose from their shackles and their fetters and all of that stuff. But just because we end up carrying it, that does not mean that we have to give birth to it. It is the same way with some of the thoughts that come into our mind, some of the things that come into our personal space, our hearts and our souls. I'm pretty sure that negativity and negative thoughts come into all of our minds, especially during this season of isolation, this season of this pandemic, and as we're getting ready for this Advent season, this holiday season of celebration. Who knows what kind of stuff will come into our hearts and our minds? Depression, discouragement, despondency, and all of that. But again, it's not just how it's not about what you harbor or what you hold. It's not about the what so many times you all, but it's about how you handle it. Not so much the what, but the how. Because what I hold, what I harbor, doesn't necessarily compare with how I handle it. Not at all. And so it's not always about what we hold. It's about how we handle it. Have you ever met people who run their mouths about everything? I mean, everything. As we say in the country, they're like a bad refrigerator, can't keep nothing. Have you ever met people like that? I mean, I have. I really, really have. And frequently you say, you know what? I would never tell you anything. I would never give you inroads to any of my secrets, any of my concerns, any of that stuff. So what am I saying to us tonight? I'm motivating us and encouraging us. Don't be that person. Don't be that person, and safeguard yourself from those kinds of people. You all know it is my mantra. When you work so hard to build a habitat of peace, you have the right to eject and reject anybody who brings a brick that does not fit the foundation that you've created. Absolutely. And so, one, let's not be those people, but two, we have a right to evict those kinds of people out of our lives. Yes, we do. So during this season, when people may come and share, they may come and share their discouragement and their hurt. Because who knows, this is our first time being in this pandemic and having to celebrate the holidays in this environment. And so people are going to experience all kinds of feelings, all kinds of emotions. Let's be good stewards over how we handle that. And when they trust us with their feelings, when they trust us with their doubts, when they trust us with their fears and their concerns, strive to be a good steward over that stuff. They may come trusting you with their heart and with their pain. Be a good steward to them, just as you would want them to be a good steward to you. I have certainly enjoyed these past 1,800 seconds. I'm not going to worry your patience, but I tell you what I want to do. As often as I share some of my poetry that I've written over the years, I want to share again one of my most recent poems that I wrote during this past summer. And the title of this poem is If Only We Understood. And it says, we don't always see the things that God sees. We can't quite behold the things that God knows. We don't understand the details of his plan, but what he does is good if only we understood. When I saw good, God saw better. When I felt weary, God said, never, never count yourself out, for it's not the end. When I needed a little help, God managed to send a friend. I didn't ask for a friend, for I felt I needed no other. So God turned my friends into my sisters and my brothers. At the intersection of kinship and friendship, there I found you. It's clear that I didn't know the things that God knew. With all the curves in the road, all of its twists and bends, it's been an easier journey along the highway because of you, my friend. We don't always see the things or the people that God sees. I am so honored to have shared whatever space you have allowed me to share. I trust that you will join me next Tuesday and Thursday, same time, same space, as we continue our ride down the highway of life and we're reading these billboards to better. I want you to email me at talk2, the number two, talk2cutler@gmail.com. Let me know if you've enjoyed this. Let me know some of your favorite quotes that are in the book. And I want to do something special next week because Thursday is Christmas Eve. But I'm going to be here Tuesday and Thursday. I want to do something special for all of you all. Thank you so much. And until then, let's continue building community, maintaining connectivity, keep your heads up, keep your hope up, stay safe, stay sane. Until this time next Tuesday, my love to all of you. Good night.